What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back to talk to you about the best time I've had as a DM. First and foremost, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you guys go check out Dave Chappelle's brand spanking new Netflix comedy special. Hilarious. Um, I just remember watching the Chappelle show back in the day, and all his comedy specials are really great. So, um, I'm in a I'm in a good mood. Like I just got done cracking up. But anyway, talking about the best time I had DMing was just the other day, yesterday to be exact, from when I'm making this video. So, if you saw a video I made about a week or two ago, I was talking about two of the characters that are in the party for that session, and they're both elves. One is a cleric, a thunder cleric, tempest cleric, and the other one is I want to say druid? Yes, a druid of the moon. So she can shape shift, she's all about nature and whatnot. And the third person in the party that I didn't really talk about, he's also playing an elf, but this elf is one that everybody pretty much knows of, and that is Link, the warrior of Hyrule. So he's playing a version of Link that has been used in Ocarina of Time. So it's the Link that has gone through that type of adventure, and now he was just a soldier. So these characters all get plucked from their home worlds, and they get put into my world of Shinto Ryu. Again, I made a video talking about what Shinto Ryu is, so to give you a quick basic rundown, it is a world inhabited by four gods. There's Buddha, and there's three sibling gods, Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and Susanoo, each one representing fire, the moon, and water. So these gods eventually don't like that Buddha's being praised more than they are, so they decide to attack Buddha's temples and pretty much put Buddha out of commission. So this happens, and for the next couple hundred of years or whatever, humanity begins to praise the dragon gods. And then the dragon gods create a new utopia in a way. However, Buddha's has a following that has been working under the scenes, and there are four disciples of Nirvana that have risen to power. And just yesterday, my party came face to face with one of these disciples of Nirvana, See No Evil. He is a warrior monk who has pledged himself to a spider demon, and he's gotten spider-like abilities. So pretty much he trapped our players into a maze-like dungeon. That wasn't the fun part, because that happened 2 sessions ago. The fun part was, after the dungeon they managed to escape, but See No Evil trapped them in a dimension where time was in constant flux. Basically, the ground that they were standing on was covered in spider webs, a thin layer of spider webs. And See No Evil, contrary to his name, is a spider demon. However, all of his eyes have been gouged out, and now he's essentially blind. However, he's able to locate things based on the vibrations on his webs. And since they're trapped in his domain is covered in webbing. So as long as they're touching the floors, the walls, whatever has webbing on it, he'll know where they are. So this adds an interesting dynamic because they don't know this, so they're going to assume that he relies on sight. However, he knows where they're at all times. None of my characters, or none of the party, can fly. Tempest Cleric isn't to that level yet, so she can't fly. But it was really awesome to just see them trying to make their way to him, and just the interesting things they did. I gave him an ability that he always had. As long as he was standing upright, he produced kind of like a cage of super sticky webbing around him. So any 5-inch or any 5-foot radius around him, the players would be trapped in his web. They'd essentially be considered restrained. And Link was first to the fray. He went up to hit him with his sword, tried to do a jump slash. However, since he tried to jump right in front of him, he got stuck into the web and he couldn't do the attack. And then I also gave him the ability to shoot out spider webs and control a player. This was really fun, because essentially he got to control Link, and Link was now one of his minions fighting the rest of the party. And it was interesting to see how they adapted to this. Were they going to say F it and knock Link out, or try to play around this? Very strategically, the druid transformed into a spider, and this gave her a huge bonus to like her insight, because now she also had web sense, so she can see and feel where the webbing was, what he was controlling, and it was just really great. However, the downside to this was that since she's a spider, she can't really speak to the party. So now the party's going to try to figure out what exactly she's trying to say, while also trying to fight. And it was just really great. At one point, they managed to take down the big bad. It was a very difficult time. It was a combination of strategy, trial and error. They figured out about the spider webs, about how he was controlling people, that he was actually blind, and they took him out. However, since he's a disciple of Nirvana, they're trying to achieve immortality. So they've been granted a one-time resurrection. It doesn't bring them up to their full health. It's about a quarter of their health. And he managed to get up. However, when he got up, he actually pushed away 2 of the characters out of his dimension and trapped the druid in here with him. He had a little bit of a grudge against her since she was able to turn into a spider and figure out what he was doing. So as the 2 party members that got pushed out, the Tempest Cleric and Link, they're trying to figure out how to get back in here. And this is when things got crazy. So See No Evil eventually got the druid incapacitated, and he was now going to carve her eyes out, kind of like to show her that, hey, you're going to become one of my minions now. You know, he's blinded, he's going to make sure that she's also blinded. However, she got me super messed up. As the DM, I thought I had this in the bag. You know, I was going for a player kill while also taking a player's eyes to show them that, hey, these dudes aren't anything to mess with. So as he was up in her face trying to carve her eyes out, she had a dagger in her hand, which she managed to cut free. And then she touched my monk's head and casted Lesser Restoration. Essentially, she healed him to the point where he got all his eyes back. The sudden influx of light and everything he was perceiving was too much for him to handle. So this gave her a huge opening to either kill him, make a run for it, something, because he was now trying to claw his eyes out again, because he was going against his will. He took his own eyes out so he could see no evil, and essentially making him evil. But she restored his eyesight back. This was so, like, I didn't know how to act. I didn't see this coming. This was like, whoa, this is like super awesome. And what I ended up making happen was I rolled d20s to see, because he had multi-attack, so he had 2 attacks two actions to try to claw the eyes out. So essentially he'd be able to take out 2 of his own eyes per turn, but taking out his eyes would deal damage to him on top of her if she wanted to deal damage to him. While this was happening, out in the other dimension, Link and the Tempest Cleric were fighting a minion that was sent by See No Evil, which was a phase spider. So if you don't know, phase spiders can basically phase out of this world and go into another world and then phase back into this world. Think of like Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler being that from the X-Men. Poof into this world, poof back out, poof back in. So this phase spider phase spider was doing damage to Link, and the second time the spider tried to phase out, Link actually managed to grab onto the spider and phase alongside with him. So now we have the phase spider in basically the ethereal plane being ridden on by Link, and Link decides to play his Ocarina of Time to try to reveal anything he could in the ethereal plane to see if he could control where the next jump would be. Just the sight of that, just think about it. Link riding a phase spider in the ethereal plane while playing his ocarina, that that should be on a shirt somewhere. That is freaking hilarious and badass. So eventually he rolled really great, and I'm like, okay, so you get a kaleidoscope of images and you manage to see an image that you can go into that leads to the dimension where the druid and See No Evil is. So eventually he goes in there and he gets in there and he gets help. He helps the druid. Eventually See No Evil does pluck all his eyes back, but he's severely weakened. And so for my Tempest Cleric, as all this is going on, she's trying to figure out how to get back to this pocket dimension that the monk has basically been inside of. There was a statue of Buddha right outside of the door that she came out of, the dimension door that's no longer there, and she's trying to figure out how to get back in there. I tried putting hints here and there, and eventually she couldn't get it, so I had another character come in and solve the riddle for her. So the way to get back into this pocket dimension was to cover Buddha's eyes, the whole See No Evil, like the monkey thing. That's how you open up the door to his dimension. So after saying this, everybody was like, oh, we should have known. But it was just so great. They get in there, they kill him for good this time, and everybody had a great time. So many epic moments happened, and it was just a really fun boss battle that just made everything go really great. And this was just one of the mini bosses. There's still 3 more of these disciples of Nirvana that they have to go through while there's more going on this world. So hopefully we get many more adventures like this, but that was just my awesome D&D story that I wanted to share. If you guys have any other great D&D stories that you want us to know, please write them down in the comments below. I'd really enjoy reading them. So as always, guys, this has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys next time.